Night 27. Oolana returns to camp after voting out Antonio 3-2. Nicola chats with Avery Lee privately to ask what was up last vote, and Avery Lee admits she couldn't trust Antonio for a few rounds now. She also feels more confident beating Sierra in challenges than Antonio, so once she found out that Bane was voting for Antonio, she followed. Nicola says she has nowhere to go except stick to her because she doesn't have much of a game relationship with Bane and Sierra. Avery Lee says she wants to be final two with her, so she still wants to keep up her promise not to vote her out. Later in the night, Bane, Sierra, and Avery Lee talk about the Antonio blindside. Sierra says she's relieved she gets to live another day. Her dream is to reach Final 3 at the very least. At this point, she sees herself being in Final 3 with them over Nicola. She knows how much of a jury threat Nicola is, so she needs to be voted out next. Bane and Avery Lee both claim they also want Nicola out due to how dangerous she is in the jury management department and challenge department. Bane wouldn't be surprised if Nicola somehow wins immunity tomorrow, but they need to do their best to prevent that from happening. Sierra crosses her fingers and jokes that Bane is her biggest competitor right now in challenges. Day 28, and it's time for the immunity challenge. Nicola returns the necklace and comments she'll be needing that again today. Justin then explains the challenge rules. In this challenge, the four of them must use a sewing kit and stitch up a rainbow pattern on their circular pad. The first person to successfully stitch up the design will win individual immunity. As a reminder, if tonight's vote ties, there will not be rocks drawn, but instead, a tiebreaker challenge to determine who goes to jury. With that, the challenge begins, and all four begin stitching up their rainbow pattern. Sierra takes an early lead with her design. Avery Lee and Bane slowly start to catch up to Sierra, meaning Nicola is in last, but still trying her hardest to catch up to the rest. Sierra starts to slow down and Avery Lee and Bane overtake her, coming close to a complete design. In the end, Bane finishes before Avery Lee, meaning Bane wins individual immunity and reaches Final 3. Sierra and Avery Lee cheer for him and Nicola smiles, pretending to be happy for him. Justin hands over the necklace to Bane, claiming that he will not be voted out tonight. As for the other three women, one of them will become the 18th person voted out and the 8th member of our jury. They all head back to camp. Back at camp, Nicola talks to Avery Lee and hugs her, feeling extremely worried about tonight. Avery Lee tells her to keep her chin up because she still has a fighting chance tonight. She promises she's voting Sierra tonight. Nicola nods and says that was her plan too, even before the immunity challenge since she already tried voting her out several times now this season. Sierra then intrudes their conversation and Nicola changes the topic to how Bane killed it at the challenge today. Avery Lee doesn't say anything in response and Sierra starts getting weirded out. After some time of silence, Sierra claims how awkward it feels now knowing one of them have to go tonight. Avery Lee shrugs and says that at the very least, the ladies have been killing it this season. She wishes they could have made Final 3, but they came up short. Nicola admits to Sierra that she's voting her tonight. She doesn't feel it's necessary to keep that from her. Sierra thanks her for the honesty and claims she was also planning to vote her tonight. It means it would come down to what Avery Lee and Bane decide. Nicola wishes her luck and Sierra does the same. Later on, Sierra pulls Bane aside and confirms with him if the plan is still Nicola. He says it is and asks if Avery Lee is still on board. Sierra says she was hoping he would know since he's closer to her. Bane says she probably is, but he's not sure because she has been avoiding him all day. Sierra admits she has seen her around Nicola a lot, so she's wondering if it's because she's working on her jury management, knowing Nicola is going tonight. Bane shrugs and says he doesn't think she would want to keep Nicola knowing she has a lot of friends on the jury. Sierra later talks with Avery Lee to confirm with her whether it's her or Nicola tonight. Avery Lee asks her why she's asking and if Bane said something to her that made her ask that question. Sierra says Bane is still on board to do Nicola, but she has noticed Nicola talking a lot with her recently. Avery Lee says she obviously won't back down from a conversation with Nicola when nobody else wants to talk with her. She doesn't want to leave her alone like that. Sierra breathes out and apologizes for assuming something was up between them. Avery Lee tells Sierra she wishes she could just trust her word and that questioning her decision tonight seems extremely sketchy. Sierra apologizes a second time and says she has always been a paranoid person. She reminds her of the time she used her idol on Caleb during their second tribal as Tatakai, thinking that her own two allies were flipping. This isn't the first time she has been paranoid about a vote. With that, night 28 arrives, and it's time for tribal council. Everyone sits down and see the jury of 7, Antonio being the latest addition to that group of jurors. Justin begins the discussion by asking Nicola why she felt like she needed immunity today, based on her comment when she handed over her necklace to him. Nicola says it was very clear she would be the easy vote at Final Four after getting blindsided during the Antonio vote. She was under the impression that Sierra was going home, so it felt very awkward for her returning to camp after that. Justin asks Sierra if Nicola's assumption about tonight's vote is correct, and Sierra immediately nods. She says that Nicola made herself a target because she tried working with Antonio, someone who everyone thought had no relationship with her game-wise. Nicola speaks up and says she already lost 2 of her good friends in the last 3 tribal councils before that, so she really didn't have many people she could work with anymore. That's why Antonio became someone she thought she could rely on since her and Sierra did not mesh well this season. Justin turns to Avery Lee and asks her if her and Bane are the deciding votes in that case for tonight's vote, and Avery Lee says they pretty much are if Sierra and Nicola are truly voting each other. She sees both sides and how they feel about the other person, so she's strictly voting based on gameplay tonight. She's setting her emotions aside. Justin asks Bane if he feels the same way, and he nods. He says he went into tribal knowing very well what he would do, and he is sticking to that. With that, Justin lets the 4 of them know it's time to vote. Let's see how tribal turns out now.
I'll tally the votes. Since it's the Final Four, no hidden immunity idols can be played. I'll read the votes. First vote. Nicola. Sierra. That's 1 vote Nicola, 1 vote Sierra. Nicola. That's 2 votes Nicola, 1 vote Sierra. 1 vote left. Sierra. We have a tie between Nicola and Sierra. Based on the rules of Survivor, if there is a tie at Final Four, rocks will not be drawn. Instead, Nicola and Sierra must compete in a tiebreaker challenge. You two may now head up here and sit in a chair. In this, on your turn, you must pull a stick out of the tower without causing it to topple over. If you successfully take one out, the next person goes. Whoever knocks down the tower during their turn will become the 18th person eliminated from the game and the 8th member of the jury. It's now time to start this tiebreaker challenge. And with that, Sierra, you have lost the challenge and you are the 18th person voted out and the 8th member of the jury.
Bane sighs, annoyed by the result. Sierra and Nicola return to the seats. Tears stream down Sierra's face and calls Avery Lee out for being a disappointing player. Avery Lee doesn't comment and Sierra goes to place her torch down next to Justin. She watches it get snuffed and wipes her face with her sleeve. She heads out without saying goodbye and Avery Lee stares as she walks away. Justin congratulates Nicola for surviving the tiebreaker and reminds all three that they have one more vote off before final tribal council where the jury will vote for a winner. All three head back to camp and Avery Lee hugs Nicola as they walk out. Sierra's final thoughts. Sierra is crushed after putting so much effort into her gameplay, just to lose a tiebreaker challenge. She feels extremely bitter towards Avery Lee because she straight up lied to her for no reason about her vote. She hopes Bane wins at this point, and if not him, Nicola deserves it over Avery Lee for handling her jury management well.